This is The Gorge, a podcast where my friend Sara and also my friend Othar gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a game or game-related topic. The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. If you give us money, we'll give you stuff and also a better podcast. And this last week of 2017, Sara, what are we talking about?
Well, I'm speaking very poorly. I apologize in advance for my terrible voice. Hey, we're doing something special this week, and it is the first annual Gorge Awards. And I just came up with that on the spot.
the
Gorge Awards, you say?
The Gorge Awards. The Gorge Awards.
Gorge Awards.
The Gorgies.
The Gorgies!
The Gorgies. The gorgeous Gorgies.
Oh, no.
This is awful.
So
These all suck.
Every mainstream gaming magazine or gaming website gives out its annual Game of the Year awards and stuff. And since we are a legitimate gaming thing,
for sure,
we need to have our own awards. But instead of doing just the standard same old Game of the Year and best graphics and best music and who cares about all that, we have a bunch of categories in here that are a little bit more specific and a little bit more directed. Mm-hmm. And this is a very good year to start this tradition with because,
oh boy.
What a year!
2017 was rough because it had too many good video games, and I don't have enough time in my life to devote to every single good video game that came out, although I feel like I hit all the high points, so I'm going to consider this one a win. 2018 is looking to be a little bit quieter, thank fuck, so I can play catch up with stuff that I didn't get to play, like Prey and a few other titles like that.
Usually we talk about a Game of the Year, but 2017 was the year of the game.
Yeah.
Boo.
It's like the actual Game of the Year is for once the list is whatever you pick, your audiences go, yeah, that's about right.
That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. No one's going to be like, you gave that, unless it's like PUBG, but
Yeah, PUBG that got nominated for Game of the Year at the fucking Game Awards and is barely functional. That's hilarious to me. Yeah, sure, nominate that and not Nier Automata. I fucking hate you. Spike TV can eat my entire ass, Cause yeah.
A bastion of good taste and quality content, Spike TV.
Yeah, Spike TV is really the arbiter of video game authorship. Whatever. I'm sick. I'm allowed to ramble. Listen, this is very prestigious and very serious, alright?
Yes, this is a very serious award ceremony we have going on here.
I'm wearing my fancy pajama pants.
Yes, I am drinking only the fanciest of 7-Up right now.
I'm 2 edibles in.
Yeah! Nice! Perfect! It's ideal. God, I wish that were me. God, I wish that were me.
You can tell this is going to be a very serious podcast today.
Oh, yeah,
I told you, a prestigious award, alright? Mm-hmm. Everybody who wins an award from us,
Now, unfortunately, absolutely no one I got in touch with from any of these development teams responded back.
Pricks.
So we'll just have to accept the awards we're giving them ourselves on their behalf.
And we'll just mail the awards
at
a later date.
Actually, they all also said to never contact them again, and if they do, they will take legal action against us and everyone we love. So, I think the best thing is to just return the awards to the pawn shop I bought them from.
That's fair.
I mean, these trophies do have little golfer men on them, so it's probably for the best.
You see, this is why I don't believe you, though, because I honestly think if we send Yoko Taro a golf trophy, he would be absolutely delighted.
Oh, yeah, that's true, but I didn't actually get to speak to Yoko Taro. I spoke to his lawyer, who actually did threaten physical violence against me if I dared to contact them again. So,
are you sure you just didn't talk to Hideki Kamiya?
Wait, I thought Kamiya was Yoko Taro's lawyer.
You guys practiced real hard for that one, didn't you?
No. I'm actually just hilarious, as it turns out. Surprise! I can make jokes, too. We should probably get to this.
We should. Okay, so the first award of this list is the best post-apocalyptic open-world game where an evil unseen force takes control of normally benevolent, helpful robots, which is very specific, so it's weird that we got 3 of them this year.
It's still a really good... It's a very good award.
And the nominees for this are Nier Automata,
right?
Horizon Zero Dawn, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
We didn't determine winners. We probably should have done that ahead of time.
No, but I figure we can just discuss it while we're doing this.
Well, see, I'm biased because we have a lot of categories, and if I could put Nier Automata into all of them, I would.
I do like being near an automaton, so my feelings are very like leaning towards that one, because in that one you actually get to hang out with robots.
Yes, you get to hang out with robots in Horizon 2. You just have to get the skill to hang out with them.
Yeah. I think if we're just going off the strength of the robots, then my vote goes to Horizon, because it definitely has the best robots of all the robots.
Yeah, out of all the ones that you get to fight, I feel like that one and Breath of the Wild had like the funnest. Because boy, I really liked Horizon's just enormous variety of giant like animalian robots you could fight.
For sure. Now,
yeah, and there's fucking robot dinosaurs, and it has the tall necks, which are like my weird favorite thing ever. They're just cute in a way I can't articulate.
It's because they're giraffes.
Yeah, it's because they're giraffes. In the DLC, you fight a Yeti.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You actually fight a Yeti.
Yeah, it's a robot Yeti. Oh, the DLC is so good. We'll have to do We'll do an episode about that later.
Yeah.
Good.
But,
I get to fight a Sam Squatch.
Now, Sam Squatch.
What's really interesting about all these 3 games is that they also are very indicative of, like, not only the direction I think a lot of open world games are going to go, like, especially Horizon and Breath of the Wild are, like, going to change the way that open world games are done like this. It's also amazing that all 3 of these games have really, really good and really, like, distinct art styles.
Yeah. I love Horizon's, like, incredibly, or at least an attempt at realism, and then, like, Nier's robots are really goofy looking and they somehow manage to be threatening, and then Zelda's robots are all like these cool huge, you wouldn't really even know they're robots, they're really more like colossi.
Yeah, they're like these like golem construct type creatures.
Yeah.
Like Zelda does a really good job of blending the magic and technology thing, like in a really, really interesting and cool looking way. And
honestly, I just really like how like the robots are all very distinctly based off of like very early Japanese pottery. So it's really just like the entirety of the Legend of Zelda's like pot collection is finally getting its revenge on Link.
Yeah. You flip true. You flip a Guardian over, and it's just a clay pot.
And then finally, revenge for all my shattered brethren. Were the rupees worth it, Link?
Now, considering that like the Guardian laser music is like the audio perception of what anxiety sounds like, it's absolutely perfect.
I think so too.
I haven't heard a tune since the Sonic 2 Drowning theme that gets me more nervous than the Guardian theme in Breath of the Wild.
It's a really good way of perfectly capturing that feeling of not necessarily like existential dread so much as like, oh man, what if there is a monster in my closet? I'm about to have a freak out.
Yeah.
Something's coming to kill me, and it's about to suck.
They built an entire song out of scare chords. But no, all three of these games are just like fucking incredible, and I love Nier's. We talked about this in the episode, but I love the Nier's like desolation aspect. I love how like empty things are, like the buildings and stuff. Mm-hmm. How it gets the sense of like being devoid of like isolation and stuff. And I love Nier's, or I love Horizon's colors.
Yeah. Oh man, Horizon is such a treat.
Looking up at the sky at night, seeing all the stars, the bright, vibrant plant life, how alive it feels in direct contrast to Nier, like how alive this post-apocalyptic world feels in Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Zelda's art or cell shading, and just like everything looks like a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Everything feels like the background of Howl's Moving Castle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're all just like, perfect.
But we've got to give a winner.
We do.
We have to tell somebody. We have to say that one of these won.
As far as this specific category goes, in the context of it being an open world game,
mm-hmm.
I have to give it to Breath of the Wild. I think this game and what it does to the open world quote unquote go anywhere genre, compared to Skyrim's you can go anywhere, you can't actually go anywhere. The climbing mechanic in Zelda is a game changer, and if other open world games don't copy that, they're idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree on that.
I think, it's a toss-up for me between that one and Horizon, because Horizon gives you a lot more variety in things to do, because like while you can't go everywhere and you can always find fun little secrets, at the end of the day there's only like 12 things you can find at the end of the day in Breath of the Wild, compared to like Horizon had we had like there's at least triple the amount of like robots you can fight in the world. There's a bunch more different kinds of treasures to collect. There's a lot more collectibles.
Yeah,
there was more like lore stuff that kind of made the open world feel like worth exploring.
That is true, and I do want to, like, you brought that up, I want to mention that like Horizon has some of the best collectibles I've ever seen in a game, because every collectible has a story attached to it.
Yeah, that's what makes it so, and I think that's why I gotta go with Othar, and give it to Horizon, because like where Breath of the Wild definitely has the most open of the open worlds because of like the dozens of ways you can traverse from point A to point B. And that's a big important point. I think Horizon has more going on in its open world. Zelda has its puzzle temples, and it's not really temple shrines. Here's my word. But everything I haven't actually played Breath of the Wild, so that's my caveat here. And so maybe I'm not entirely allowed to vote on this, but whatever. Fuck off. I've played the other games. I don't have a Switch. Everything I've seen of Breath of the Wild is that the combat mechanics in Breath of the Wild don't hold up to what's going on in Horizon. Horizon has got a dozen different ways to accomplish like your goals in fighting. It has a ton of very different enemy types. As far as I can tell in Breath of the Wild only has like 4 or 5 actual enemy types. And I like the world, I like the exploring aspect of Horizon more than I've liked pretty much any open world game I've ever played. Horizon is a game that I desperately wish was VR, because I would love to be a tourist in that world, just for a little while.
I think the difference for me is that Breath of the Wild rewards your creativity in exploring.
Yes.
So it's basically giving you the fun of exploring like a Bethesda game with no actual limiters, so now you can actually do the stupid bullshit. Mm-hmm. And then Horizon,
there actually was an interview about about Breath of the Wild, where they asked the director, why can't you pet dogs in Breath of the Wild? And they said that it goes against the design philosophy, which is you have, if you can think about it, you have very limited mechanics within that game. You can climb, you can swing a sword, you can shoot a bow, you can ride a horse, and their goal with that was to give you very limited mechanics, but give you freedom to do whatever you wanted with them. Whereas Horizon gives you a lot more mechanics, a lot more options to do more, to give... It's just different approaching to problem solving, which is you have a problem in front of you and you have limited ways to do it, but you're free to do whatever you want. Whereas, say, Horizon doesn't have the climbing capabilities that Breath of the Wild does, but you are still given a lot of different mechanics to get to that point. So yeah, I think it's 2 votes for Horizon then?
And I think the rewards for Horizon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 votes.
All right,
for Horizon.
Then Horizon is the best post-apocalyptic open-world game where an evil unseen force takes control of the normally benevolent, helpful robots, which is very specific, so it's weird that we got 3 of them this year. And, like we said at the beginning, that's fair. Any choice is the right choice.
That's fair.
So, moving on to our next category, which is the best Dark Souls of 2017. And
it's just too bad we didn't get actual Dark Souls this year.
Boo, where's Bloodborne 2 from Software?
The nominees for best Dark Souls are Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Cuphead, and Super Mario Odyssey.
All right, I'm gonna throw my vote in for Cuphead because Cuphead is also thematically the closest to a Dark Soul.
I'm going to use the pun you should have used. I'm going to throw my hat towards Super Mario Odyssey. No, actually, I do think Othar's right. I do think Cuphead is the best Dark Souls in here.
Cuphead is the most Dark Soulsian of the 3 of them because, just for the actual challenge and not game reviewers are bad at video games.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Game reviewers are just bad at video games.
This category mostly existed so we can dunk on game reviewers for a bit, but guys,
I was beating the Crash Bandicoot trilogy when I was
Dark Souls is not Dark Souls because it's hard. Dark Souls is Dark Souls because it's a well-crafted game that is challenging but fair. Mm-hmm. The fact that you suck at Crash Bandicoot doesn't make it Dark Souls. It makes it Crash Bandicoot when you're bad at video games.
Yeah, I guess my thoughts is also the way Cuphead works and functions. It also follows Dark Souls' premise of how difficulty is actually the difficulty of any set path is dependent on you following the path that they obviously gave to you, because there's always a slightly harder one if you go off the beaten path, or an easier one if you make your way into the middle of one of those two and then take a shortcut.
Right.
And Cuphead does deliver on that where the other 2 don't. So again, I'd have to throw my hat in
Cuphead's
for Cuphead.
Art style not only is visually beautiful and is stunning and worthy of all kinds of praise, but the well-crafted animations of it also work in its favor of it being Dark Soulsian in that your bosses they're not difficult because they just have a lot of life and they're very strong. It's that the game is encouraging you to adapt and to start reading patterns and to start reading animations and knowing how to react when you start seeing a certain wind-up.
Yeah,
and deliberately dying so that you can figure out how to approach it the next time around.
Right, yeah. It's Dark Souls and Cuphead both approach boss fights like puzzles and not so much as just go in there and wail on them for 20 minutes. It's about figuring out when to do what and working out patterns and going with the correct approach. So in that case, Cuphead is a true Dark Souls. More so than other things, and definitely not Mario Odyssey.
Now, have you guys actually seen the Dark Souls animation in Cuphead style? That's great.
Yes, I have. It's amazing. I would
It's
play a
very
whole
cute.
game of that. Are you kidding me? Oh,
I was
man.
so happy when I saw
Yeah.
Zigmeyer.
It's
Like,
so
I
cool.
jumped for joy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so
Yeah.
cool. But yeah,
Oh,
we gotta
for
get
sure,
to
that
Cuphead.
one's-
That one's an easy one.
That one's
no
simple, yeah.
discussion. No.
All right, so
Okay, I want to
Okay,
do the
go
next
ahead.
one because it's a good one. So next on the list of awards is the Best Sense of Growing Dread of 2017, and the nominees are the first 2 hours of Resident Evil 7,
yes,
Doki Doki Literature Club, and knowing that David Cage's newest game is going to attempt to handle racial issues in a 2018 culture.
oh,
Yep.
oh my God,
David Cage, why won't you leave us alone?
I feel like that last one's cheating a little bit because, like, yeah, that is the best one because that's a several month long build up.
now.
Video games can't build dread like that for that long, or you just get bored
Now,
or have a heart
Let's
attack.
Yeah.
just before we get into that, I just want to say that legitimately, the first 2 hours of Resident Evil are fucking terrifying because you have no idea what to expect.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like that game, we talked about it in the episode, but like that game's atmosphere, that game's direction, that sound direction, art style, and everything are perfectly crafted to give you the most tense, unsettling feeling imaginable right out the gate.
Yeah. And then, like, even when it loses some of that, like, growing dread, you still are tense the whole time because, like, you never know what's coming, and I really, really like that. And then, of course, Doki Doki Literature Club is nothing but tension building up into, like, the
And I think Doki Doki Literature Club is more interesting because, like, you know, it's the kind of thing where, like, you know, people are saying, like, don't read any reviews, don't do anything like that, just play Doki Doki Literature Club. And so, right away, like, with that alone, you know that something crazy is going to happen in the game. But, unlike Resident Evil 7,
Right.
which is, I'm going to be attacked by a monster, or a creepy man, redneck chainsaw man is going to get me, like, but when is he going to get me? You don't know, you have no indication of what kind of horror you're about to dive into with Doki Doki Literature Club.
You're not
Yeah.
even entirely sure it's going to be like horror so much as like, yeah, there's going to be an insane genre shift. So the fact
Right.
it switches to horror makes it even worse.
And the fact that they play the dating sim visual novel aspect completely straight for like 3 hours is part of what makes DDLC work so well, is because, like, it takes the visual novel aspect completely serious for the beginning of the game.
Now-
I don't know if it's actually 3 hours. Maybe that's
Yeah,
an
and like
exaggeration,
the
but you get
thing
what I
with
mean.
that is that like it gets to the point where it bypasses the point where impatience starts to set in, and so that just kind of compounds the oncoming dread of like, okay, is something really gonna happen here or not, or like am I just sitting here and waiting, or is it all gonna be for nothing? What?
Right.
Come on, let's get on with it already.
And then it gets on with it, and you're like, no, go back to the cute dating sim stuff. I feel like there's a monster in my house now. Please.
And then
There's David Cage. There's Detroit Become Human. Has Detroit not suffered enough? Really? I know we say this every time we talk about Detroit Become Human, but honestly, Detroit has suffered enough, David Cage. It doesn't
I've
deserve
never
you.
seen a developer contradict himself in literally every interview he gives about this game. Like, it's astounding how many times he rolls back his own statements. Like, no, my game is going to have very serious commentary on issues. My game doesn't have any commentary. It's up to you to determine the commentary. My game is about this. It's not about that. It's about this thing. No, it's not. It's about that.
You're not doing it in a French accent,
bad
so
game.
it's not right, Ben, and I'm too sick to
He's
do it.
doing the bad
It's a
game.
bad game. I makes the bad game. Makes the bad game.
Oh, it's every trailer, every gameplay video I see of this game is just like it feels like an entirely different project.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, is that, like, we saw... was it E3 where we had, like, the glossy video with the guy on the roof, and then at PSX we got something completely different.
Well, okay.
And you still
the
played
first thing...
the detective guy, right?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This is Cage's
oh my
Bioshock
god, you're right!
No!
Oh, you motherfucker! You cracked the goddamn code!
God, I wish I was dead.
The edibles hit all of a sudden, and I just suddenly, like, opened my...
I'm just picturing Othar just slumped in his chair, and he's like, oh my god!
I'm having a revelation. I need to go nail it to the church door like Martin Luther's 99
Othar just had a fucking Jimmy Neutron brain blast.
Don't say that. I might actually have one.
You're totally right, because, like, every trailer is... Because, like, the first thing we got was the fucking Kara short film he made. With the cyborg who gains sentience, and he's like, and whatever. And then they're like, oh, we're making a game about it, and here's the sexy robot lady, and there's the robots getting into the back of the bus. Every time I think about that, I just laugh hysterically about the shot of robots getting into the back of the bus, because can you simultaneously miss the point and then hit the point so hard at the same time?
You miss the point and you're still too on the nose. Like, that's too much, David Cage. How do you do that?
So we got that, and we're like, okay, so the game is going to be about her, and she's, like, in this oppressive world, and, like, how she survives that. Oh, but now there's a... now there's a detective robot man, and it's like it's the Naman Jaden, like FBI stuff, and he's like a negotiate. Oh no, it's about the uprising, and the robots are all gaining sentience, and they're leading a revolution. But there's a new robot. It's not Kara or the detective. What is this game?
Nobody knows. That's the answer to your question, my friend. Nobody knows. I don't know what's going on in this fucking piece of shit. I wanted to call it Beyond Two Souls because I hate Beyond Two Souls that much, and I suddenly can't remember the name. Detroit Become Human. There you go. Because I hate Beyond Two Souls so much that it makes me want to go blind so I can never see it again. But yeah, Detroit Become Human. Fuck that shit. The looming dread there is...
It's palpable.
My own dread with the fact that I'm gonna have to, like, deal with the fact that this piece of shit is probably gonna sell really well. Because the French have shitty taste in video games.
Just stop giving him chances.
No, because like I said, those games sell like gangbusters in France because he's French, and I hate the French. I know I speak French, and I love France, but surprise, I actually hate the French. How dare you all do this? How dare you produce David Cage? Can we give it?
I'm gonna give it, and then I'm going to give it
sadness?
to David Cage, and then I'm going to take it away and throw it in the garbage.
I don't really want to nominate David Cage for anything. So I'm going to Doki Doki Literature Club.
That's fair.
Smart.
That's entire. You know what? I'm going to throw it for
fair.
Doki Doki Literature Club too.
I agree. I want to like hand the award to David Cage.
The
and be like,
award is
JK.
The award is for Doki Doki Literature Club.
No, you go. The award is for Dan Salvato.
God, I was just gonna say, just like give the award to David Cage. And go, all right, now
here, you give it out.
And then we're gonna take our games out back and shoot them. All right, next.
For once in your life, Cage, do the right thing.
Next.
This is for me.
This one's for
this
you.
is the Ben Award for Best Kingdom Hearts of 2017 because somehow we got 3 of them this year.
Oh boy.
The nominees are Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 HD Remix, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, and Kingdom Hearts Union X. And this is just for me.
You know, it's really funny. I've been, like, not playing Kingdom Hearts, but, like, backseat gaming Kingdom Hearts for, like, the last week. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I understand any of it, even after I've, like, played and beaten 4 games at this point.
It's really not. The Kingdom Hearts is complicated meme is, like, reaching points of absurdity where it's like, I think people are, like, fundamentally misunderstanding things on purpose now.
Ben, I don't think it's complicated so much as it's convoluted. I think that's, like, what it, like, boils down to. It's so watered down that I have to sift through and pick up the puzzle pieces.
The only problem with it is that it's before 1.5 and 2.5 came out, is that you had to buy, like, 4 consoles to play all the games on. It was a PS2, a Game Boy Advance, a DS, a PSP, and a phone, so 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, so we split the difference there. Anyway, we should get back to this before I...
Now, with all of these, it's all on one thing and 2 discs. That's all you need now, is you get all the games in 2 discs. And it's all on the same console. And the games are listed in order on the first disc, so you can just play them in order. And you'll be good.
I'm so high that I do not understand what you're trying to tell me, even though these are very...
And 2 of the games are movies. You don't even have to play them. It's just the cutscenes.
Oh, that's...
You just have to watch them.
No.
You don't even have to sit there for 40 hours.
But... That's like saying you don't even have to play Metroid Other M. You can just watch the cutscenes. That's not a good way to spend my time. No, but it works
out great. I mean, you can still play them, but they're on the DS, and that's because you can't mimic the DS touchscreen things onto a non-mobile device. So they were just like, just put the cutscenes on there. And they're the 2 of the lower games, so no one cares anyway. They're the 2 that no one wanted to play anyway.
What were the...
1.5 and 2.5, 2.8, and Union X.
Okay, so... They released
2.5 is a collection of 2, Birth by Sleep, and Coded. And 2.8 is a collection of Dream Drop Distance, Point 2, and the short movie.
Okay.
And then Union X is the mobile game that I don't play because it's a gacha game. And I refuse to play those.
And gachas
Do you know that one scene where Pooh just, like, dissociates entirely out of his body? That's what I'm doing right now.
You told me you're playing the games high? Which is like, that's like...
Goofy tried to die and he wasn't actually dead.
That's like saying, oh man, I tried to watch Harry Potter while completely hammered, and I can't remember what happened. This movie sucks.
Okay, to be fair, I was sober for like the first 2 games before I went, no.
That's not any
better. I can't do this.
Oh! My question...
Oh,
every time...
I say give it...
Go ahead, Sarah.
I say we just give the award to 2.8 because it's the closest to Kingdom Hearts 3, which needs to just hurry up and come out.
Getting that next... this is actually a pretty good year for Kingdom Hearts, because we actually got a trailer for 3, and it had something new in it, and then someone also data mined something, and found screenshots of a potential Monsters, Inc. world, which is cool as fuck.
But we're not sure.
Well,
it could be fake.
There were like
real.
4.
No one knows anymore.
There were like 4 that came out, and I'm like, okay, these could be faked. You could whip up these models pretty quickly. And then there like 20 came out afterward, and I was like, okay, these might be legit.
We might be getting a Monster Heart.
No, that's
fucking shit.
Oh shit!
I know. I want that. No, we might be getting a Monsters Inc. world, and that would be pretty dope. Do we still? Do we have a
spring
release date
2018.
yet, Benjamin.
Yeah.
We'll see.
If we had a
We'll
Vampire the
see.
Masquerade.
No,
But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2.8 because it has Dreamed Out Distance and Point 2 on it, which are really cool. And the movie has the best character ever, who's voiced by Ray Chase, and I love him. The Master of Masters is hilarious. In a society, in a game based on, like, old dudes with beards being, like, in charge of everything, you finally get this guy who is, like, the greatest Keyblade wielder of all time, and he's this young, pouty guy who cracks dumb jokes, and none of his apprentices are impressed with him, and it's great. I love him.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it to 2.8.
God. All right. 2.8's fine. That's good because, like, again, it's closest to Kingdom Hearts 3.
And this award was for me, so I don't care.
It was for Ben to talk about Kingdom Hearts, and that's perfectly
okay,
fine.
so let's get to... We're actually flying through these pretty good.
That's
the
good.
next award is one that I also am very keen to talk about. The best fighting game that also is just kind of a crossover game at this point. And
We know it's not the Soul Calibur.
the nominees for this one are Tekken 7, Injustice 2, and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah, because sorry, I just stuck a cough drop in my mouth. Because, Injustice 2 got...
Injustice 2 got a lot of characters! It's got...
It's really wild.
It's got Hellboy. It's got, Sub-Zero and Raiden. It's got...
Well, of course, we were getting those ones. It's made by
and Scorpion was in Injustice 1. But, yeah, we got the Ninja Turtles, which is awesome.
Which is amazing.
I'm thinking there was someone else. There was someone else who was in it. Another, like, comic character, not just Hellboy, but like from another, like, third-party comic. I think I can't remember now.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I was mostly just like really question marks about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because that was what I didn't expect.
I'm just like really excited to see what their gameplay is like because like. How do you put all four of them onto one, like, slot, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. So it's not, like, 4 different playable characters, it's all one character slot?
I actually have an idea on how that would work. It would work essentially like the Pokemon Trainer, where one of them does, like, a finishing move and it swaps out with
that
another
would
one.
be cool,
Okay.
yes. I like, or just, like, the way I can see it is that they have that, like... Injustice 2 has, like, the gear system where you can upgrade, like, you can swap out equipment and, like, it changes your move setup. So, like, you swap out a weapon and that becomes the turtle you play as. And then the others are, like, strikers that jump in for attacks. Or, like, the entire team is just constant striking. And you're constantly rotating, like the Pokemon Trainer, or... Because, like, the line in the trailer is we fight as a team, so, like, that implies that you're going to play as all of them.
I love the idea of them putting somebody in a chokehold, like Solid Snake, and they put a person down very gently.
That would be awesome! Now... And it's really cool, and I love that we talked about how great NetherRealm is doing with Mortal Kombat, and how, like, they're actually really stepping up their game. I love what they do with Injustice, because, like, there's so much, like, unique stuff going on. So not only does each character have the back and forth intro, like, unique intro quotes for every single matchup, they also have unique, like, clash quotes, which is, like, when the characters clash with each other, and they have, like, little quick back and forth between there.
Right.
They have tons of different one-liners and all this constant stuff, and, like, they have entire characters built into alternate costumes with unique dialogue lines and everything.
I love that shit.
Like, the amount of effort that's gone into, like, their licensed fighting game is really impressive, especially considering the other licensed fighting game on this list looks like such dog shit.
And, I also do want to quickly give, like, major props to Tekken 7, because, like, no one fucking expected Akuma.
Yeah, that was really, out of nowhere, and the fact that
he's
like plot.
He's like in the story mode, and like he has a history with Heihachi's wife. Yeah, and it's like she's Heihachi? Like, I need you to go kill Heihachi, and it's like, oh, he's not just a random guest character. Like, Street Fighter is in Tekken, and then they fucking.
Well,
they did Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but that was like, I think that was like a hole in reality rips open and they can meet.
So they weren't in the same.
Maybe, and then like, but then also like Geese Howard from Fatal Fury shows up, and it's like, wait, so now King of Fighters, Street Fighter, and Tekken are all in the same universe?
I choose to believe that to be the case. I want it to just be a whole.
And then fucking Noctis from 15 is in it now.
Oh yeah. So yes, all of it is set in Final Fantasy 15. Perfect.
Oh my god,
I love it.
I think my vote's gonna have to be for Tekken, just because.
Right. Well, you have this ultimate battle of shitty fathers between Geese and Heihachi. Oh my god, I love it. And then
it's the Bad Dad Showdown.
Oh man, I need to go for DeWitt and Brissett.
I want to talk very briefly about MVC, because there was a leak that happened like last month that I want to believe, and it came from a very reliable leaker, like someone who's predicted a lot of fighting game stuff in the past. Like, I think they predicted the entirety of the Street Fighter Arcade Edition pack, like Sakura Cody, etc., etc. Right. But the stuff on the leak list is like ultra wish fulfillment stuff. Like for instance, Wolverine, Storm, and Magneto coming back in. A patch that will fix the graphics.
What, like make them not ugly?
Like improve the character models. Okay, here's the full list from the leak that was hinted at. Star-Lord, Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, the stretchy girl. Yeah. Green Goblin, Wolverine, Cyclops, Psylocke, Magneto, Storm, Deadpool, Doctor Doom, Daredevil, and then on Capcom's side, they were leaking Ashura, Lady, Gil, Rashid, Captain Commando, Nina, Deus, Regina, Jean, Virgil, Akuma, and Apollo Justice.
Wait, no. I don't believe that. Not for a second.
They brought back the Capcom.
No.
It sounds...
There's no way it's real.
Like... Because, like, it's from a very reliable leaker. Like, a very reliable one who's, like, predicted a lot of good stuff. And it's like... But, like... And if it was just the characters, I'd be like, okay, it's probably legit. Like, that could make sense. Especially because, like, around the time of the leak, we had the whole Fox and Marvel and Disney talking back and forth things. And it's like, okay, maybe. But then, like, the patch that will fix the graphics, I'm a little bit like... That's a little wish fulfillment.
That's wishful thinking. Listen, the fact that if it happens, I will go buy Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because the idea of Apollo Justice being playable as a fighting game character in anything is enough to sell me on a game, because I love Apollo Justice. If it ends up being true, I swear to God, in front of God and all of our listeners, I will go buy Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and be like, yep, I'm in.
Sometimes...
I just can't believe Captain Commando's back. Or like,
I would love Captain Commando to be in this game, because he was actually my main in 2.
Yeah,
he was on my team in 2. And Rashid would be amazing, because we don't have a Street Fighter V character in
and Rashid
MVC.
rules.
Rashid's really, really cute.
We only have Ryu and Chun-Li, I think, of the Street Fighter team. And, like, yeah, Rashid would be a great rep, because Rashid's, like, the best character in 5. Like, he's my favorite new character in 5, is Rashid. He's great.
Because his theme is fucking dope. Yes.
Oh my god, his theme is so baller.
It's so good. Yeah. Please, if this is real, I would... If it was real, Marvel vs. Capcom would win. But since we don't know if it's real, Injustice 2 has to win.
Oh yeah, for sure. Injustice 2 has to win. And I'm just like... fingers crossed, because I'm pretty sure it's the same leaker, like I guess who also confirmed all the Street Fighter V crap that just got announced, which is pushing me into buying Street Fighter V now. Like, I'm gonna get it so I can play as Cody.
Well, Cody is a man in this
Cody's the fucking best. Oh my god.
What a man in Street
Oh
Fighter V.
my god.
Oh, Cody, take me now.
That part where he just runs his hand through his hair.
Oh, you huge mountain of a man! How dare
my
you?
god!
Oh Lord, so good.
He's so good. Oh, the cuffs are off, and Cody is going to destroy everything.
Now that said, I mean, I just still think that the breadth and depth of Injustice 2's crossover roster right now is so ridiculous that I have to give it to them. Although Tekken 7 is it has Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, which is definitely the weirdest thing. But right now, it has to be Injustice 2. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well the amount of care that goes into all of these, not just like, you know, they could have just given, like, Sub-Zero, like, all the extra characters, like, they could have just given, like, generic dialogue for that. But, no, the fact that they care enough to, like, just go and put in all of this, like, extra content, they had to get every voice actor from the previous characters to come in to talk about Sub-Zero and Raiden. Like, they had to say lines to them. And so it's not just getting Steve Blum and Richard Epcar to say some more dialogue into a microphone. They had to get, like, all the voice actors back to record reaction dialogue to them, and it's like, fuck!
It's
that level of commitment!
It's for a licensed fighting game, for DC, which is, like, you know, kind of the underdog in the superhero universe right now. That amount of effort is applaudable, and so we have to give it to Injustice 2. Absolutely.
It's really interesting, like, how many, like, the disparity of quality between, like, everything besides comics between DC and Marvel. It's like, which one objectively has the better cartoons? DC. Which one has the objectively better fighting game? DC. Which one has the objectively better movies? Marvel. It's like, you either crush it in one category or you are crushed in the other.
Yeah, exactly. Unless this new Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse movie is just fucking dope, which please be good, please be good, please be good. I'm begging you. So yeah, next.
The next game is a fun one. This is the best game where you fight fascism.
Oh yeah.
And the nominees for this one are Wolfenstein: The New Colossus,
right?
Persona 5, and Sonic Forces.
Oh yeah.
Boy, I love finally being able to play the Sonic the Hedgehog comics, but in video game form.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Video game form, but in bad video game form.
Look, it's a 3D Sonic. There's really not much you can hope for other than, like, hope it's, like, mediocre.
Hope it's playable.
But here's the thing about Sonic Forces, is that, like, the whole appeal of Sonic Forces is that it's like, oh, you can play as your fucking Sonic OC. Cool. Right? Except you can't. Only, like, a third of the levels are with your little self-insert. The rest of the levels are Sonic levels, or they're classic Sonic levels. Like, you don't actually get to play as your fucking, like, original character Do Not Steal. And
here's the other frustrating part. Half of the modern Sonic levels turn into classic Sonic levels about halfway through.
Yeah, they go into 2D mode, and it's like... And this is a personal note. I'm really annoyed that there's no Fox model in the create a character.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because they were waiting for DLC. I
Yeah.
guarantee.
I'm sure.
Because my Sonic OC was a fox. I had one. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised they had a bear. Honestly.
Yeah, that was. They had a little teddy bear, like a skinny little bear, because they had to fit the overall skeleton
Yeah.
of all the others.
Yeah, it's really weird. The whole, like, you missed the point, guys. Like, a lot of people would tolerate a shitty 3D Sonic game, which, I mean, that's a tautology, but whatever. In order to play a whole game of their fucking Sonic OC. But no, you only went halfway. You didn't go whole ham. You can't half-ass one thing. You've got a whole asset, alright?
It's also
Sonic.
it's just really like awful because Mania came out like 2 months before Forces did.
Yeah.
And Mania fucking crushed it and built up all of our expectations again. And it's
Oh no.
They didn't learn.
I will say this: it feels a lot better than a lot of the 3D Sonics that we've been playing for the last 10 years. So,
I'll bet it feels better than like what Lost World or whatever that was, the Wii U one.
But driving nails through your dick would feel better than playing like Sonic, the fucking Temple of Boom or whatever.
The Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, which is just a nightmare game.
Yeah, I would rather have my nails ripped off than play those games. So really, if you manage to clear that hurdle, then congratulations, you've made a tolerable, tolerable 3D Sonic game, sort of.
I think for Sonic, it's kind of worse that Forces is just mediocre and short, and it doesn't hit the hilarity bad of Boom and 06.
Yeah, it's not even so bad it's good, Like, it's just, like, kind of meh.
Like, I can have fun playing 06.
Yeah,
it's not a good game, but I can have fun with it.
Right.
I don't think I can have fun with just a boring, half-finished Sonic game.
Yeah. So, with Sonic Forces doesn't win anything and never will.
No.
And so, it's a toss-up between... I mean, the obvious answer is Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, because P5, we've talked too much about Persona 5 on this podcast, so we won't go too in-depth into it, but P5 didn't go hard enough. I've been talking lately about... they should have gone a little bit harder with Shido. If they were going to make Shido like a final, like the big guy, the big dude, the big evil fascist dude, they should have made him more of a character throughout the entire game, and they didn't. So fuck that shit. The winner is The New Colossus, wherein you actually fight actual fascists because they're Nazis.
Yes.
That's an obvious one. That's easy.
I really
I
think...
love the sheer number of ways you can kill a character in Wolfenstein.
Oh my god, it is so beautiful. I have to show you guys a quick GIF I saw where it's the most brutal way I've ever seen a takedown happen. Where the character model glitched and the ragdoll's head, like, it was one of the kills where, like, BJ swings the hatchet, like, sideways and it clips their neck and slams them into, like, or it slams them to the ground. It clipped so that their head got smashed through a wall.
Nice.
And, like, it stopped at their neck. So, like, it's just a cartoon style of their head going through the wall and the rest of their body just on the other side.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It looks so
good.
It looks so brutal, and there's just so many beautiful ways to murder Nazis and KKK members in The New Colossus.
Yeah,
and
The New Colossus is exactly, your fighting fascist game. It's killing a bunch of fucking Nazis in very creative ways, and it's still fast and furious and good as hell. We had a conversation, we already did this podcast, so I'm not even going to do it now. It's not as good as The New Order, at least not to me. But if you want a game that's about fucking just destroying Nazis in all sorts of ways and getting some catharsis, and killing things that don't, killing people that require no sympathy, then yeah, you really can't do any better than the new Colossus. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, that game is still pretty radical. So that's an easy win.
I think there is only one thing that is keeping me from putting the new Colossus on my Game of the Year list, my personal Game of the Year list, and that is, again, it is the middle tangle in the story structure.
It's too
and
short.
If they had just added one extra level right in the middle, like we talked about, it would have easily been one of my Game of the Year contenders. As it stands right now, it's a fantastic game, and I enjoyed playing it. And it is a great way to kill fascists, but it's just not quite where it could be.
Yeah, that's reasonable. But, like we said, in terms of this award, yeah, that's an easy win.
Oh, yeah.
Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, good times.
So, next up?
Next is the best Switch port that exists just to show the Switch can do it.
Oh my god.
And the nominees for that are Doom, LA Noire, and, of course, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Leave us alone, Todd Howard!
We all agree it's Doom, right?
It's gotta be Doom.
It's Doom. It's Doom. Because Doom is beautiful.
It's Doom because this means the Switch can run Doom.
Yeah, the Switch can run Doom.
The Switch can run Doom just as God intended. If your machine can't run Doom, then your machine isn't worth it. So... Yeah. That's an easy one as well. And plus, leave me alone, Todd Howard. Go away.
Also, I don't really want to talk too much about LA Noire.
These games, and I really do appreciate this kind of like clout the Switch is getting, where it's like, literally these games exist to show off that the Switch is a legitimate console and can run games like this now.
But two of the games are from a generation before is my problem.
Yeah, I know, but you can take Skyrim to the park, which is amazing. True. Like, on a technical standpoint, the fact that Skyrim runs just as well on the Switch as it does on anything else is, like, it's amazing, and that's cool, and I wish they would do this for more games from that era. Because, for one thing, some of those games are really good, and it's nice to always have, like, updated ports of them. And also, because it's cool to take games on the go. And, honestly, the Switch's mobility should be a designing step forward for all future consoles, because it's the best ever.
Yeah, I feel that. I hope that the PS5. Are we on 5? We're on PS5.
5.
I hope the PS5 is portable because, yeah.
I want it to be called the PlayStation Swap, and the S is a 5.
Boo.
Yeah. Alright. Sure.
Boo.
I just want to be able to play Uncharted on the go. That's kind of
it.
That's
and by that you don't mean like the Vita game. You mean like actual Uncharted.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be pretty radical. I mean, the Switch as a concept is definitely the coolest thing. There still aren't any games on it there that would really sell me on it just yet. Once Megaten 5 comes out and the inevitable Persona 5 port to the Switch that we all know.
And Bayo 3!
And Bayo 3!
I still need to play 2.
Yeah, but apparently Bayo 3
you're in luck because
all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you could
Bayo
just
3 is gonna have 1 and 2 come with it. So, right?
Yeah. Either they're getting ported to it, or you're just gonna buy one cartridge and it'll have all 3 of them on it.
That's really cool.
Finally, I can wear heels and
with
shoot
guns in them.
with guns in them.
Perfect. Just as
They
God
look beautiful
intended.
doing it. Yeah.
And by that you mean in a video game and not like in real life like you're doing right now.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Alright, so
when did these clothes get on me?
Alright.
The next one is you did it! You actually did it! You brought it back after all this time! You saved it! Award.
Okay.
The nominees for this one are Metroid: Samus Returns, Sonic Mania, and The Evil Within 2.
Oh.
I don't think I can give this to The Evil Within 2 because it's only
close.
it's the very it's like the only sequel for this game. It's not like I wasn't aware it could be made into a franchise, so it's kind of like, oh, that's cool. You brought it back. That's nice. I appreciate that. So I don't think it doesn't grasp the right emotion this award is supposed to bring.
I think this one it counts as a nominee because it's very clear that Bethesda will want to turn The Evil Within into a franchise.
Yeah, if only it could sell, if it could actually sell, because The Evil Within sales were a little flaccid.
Yeah, like the first one is like very clearly like, this is a game that we are going to want to make more of. Mm-hmm. It was never meant to be like a standalone thing, and yeah, the second one is markedly better than the first one in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. I would say it has to go to Sonic Mania, only because, whereas like Metroid: Samus Returns is good, most people still think AM2R is the better Metroid 2 remake, even though, I mean, yeah, Metroid: Samus Returns is prettier because it has actual 3D models and stuff, but in terms of being an actual Metroidvania game, AM2R is a little bit more successful, and AM2R kind of understands the like weird emotional beats of Metroid 2 a little bit better. And
now
here's my argument for like me throwing in for Metroid. The last two games, I think the last four games, one of them was an interquel that was incredibly awful and creepy, and the other three were like cheap-ass spin-off games that they slapped Metroid on.
Yeah.
So, like, this is the first game we've had for actual Metroid in a long-ass time.
I'm going to agree with Othar on this one, because I think Metroid: Samus Returns is also a true return to form, because remember that Samus Returns was also announced alongside Metroid Prime 4.
Right.
And so it's kind of like a harbinger of good things to come. Whereas, Sonic Mania is really good.
It's
Sonic Mania,
the only good one.
Sonic Mania was followed by Sonic Forces.
Yeah.
So
right,
is this really bringing it back? Is this a true return to form?
And I'd also point out it wasn't even made by like the Sonic team either. It was like a side project by one of their B teams. So it was just like, oh yeah, we're having a really fun like side game, and it turns out the side game was really good.
Yeah.
And as much as I think Sonic Mania is probably the better game, but because Forces came crawling after it, and whereas with Metroid, we're getting Metroid Prime 4, which will be good. Like, it's a pretty safe bet to assume that 4 will be good.
I have high hopes, but also I have heard nothing about who's developing it, which makes me very worried.
I know that,
now, if we had Kamiya on it, that would actually kind of rule.
Yeah. Kamiya, please!
Because it's the team who also develops the Donkey Kong Returns games, right? Is the same team?
Retro was confirmed to not be, returning for 4.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, that might be something different then.
Yeah. That's what, that was, my big worry. Retro's not heralding 4 at all, so we don't really know what's up with 4.
Right.
Okay, well, then I guess we will have to see for that. But in that case, I still think that the chance that 4 will be good puts it ahead the fact that Forces is bad.
Yeah.
And also,
Forces is bad.
It's also, the first, glimpse that we've had at all of, anyone even acknowledging Metroid as a franchise exists outside of, slapping it on their mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
Since fucking, what was it? Since,
Oh, poor Metroid. Oh, how you've suffered. Well, in this
Now-
case, we'll give it to Metroid and end its suffering and pray for Metroid Prime 4 to be amazing.
Now,
Hopefully it has a swift death either way.
Right?
now that Metroid's back, can we get another, like, F-Zero, maybe?
No.
Like,
We
can
had Mario Kart 8. What do you
Shut
want
up.
from us?
Shut up. You know that they don't think Captain
It's-
Falcon exists outside of
it's-
Smash.
Yeah, well, it's like that, like, did you see that post where it's like, I talked about last time, where it's like, today we mourn the death of Captain Falcon, who gave his life so that Samus could have 2 games at E3.
It was really good.
Yeah. Rip Captain Falcon.
Or
Sorry, you only exist in Smash.
Yeah, the response was, well, I guess Captain Falcon's just a Smash character now.
That's where Captain Falcon's from, right? It's just Smash. He doesn't
Yeah,
have any other game. Yeah,
Marth is from Smash Brothers.
Marth is from Smash Brothers, and so's Roy, and so's Captain Falcon. Shut up.
Ness is from Smash Brothers.
To
So,
be fair, Captain Falcon was like a virtually nameless character, and it was like more... It was more the excuse to have like a face behind the car you're driving.
Yeah,
So-
oh yeah, like none of the F-Zero characters are like characters.
Right.
Like Falcon only has a personality to begin with because of Smash.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not like the Fire Emblem ones.
Right. Yeah. Still, I just want F-Zero games are just good, so I just want another one for real.
Me too.
That's
Me too.
understandable.
Like, cause like Nintendo actually did put out like a high-octane racing futuristic game that wasn't F-Zero, and it's like, oh guys, come on.
Oh, come on, please.
But okay, this next category is for you, Sarah.
This is the Sara. This is the Sara Award for being a big old crybaby for most tears shed while playing a video game. Because as everybody knows, if you've listened to this podcast more than like twice, you know that I cry kind of easily at video games. And
I understand.
yeah, thank you, because I'm pathetic. And so the nominees are Nier Automata, I don't know, Auto Tomato.
I just say like Automata because like
Automata.
because it's just one N away from Automaton. So
Tales of Berseria, Undertale, which counts because it came out on the PS4 this year, so fuck off.
it does.
And Horizon Zero Dawn, all of which I cried in various amounts at. It was a good year to kind of ruin my life with video games and remember that I'm a huge crybaby. And there was a lot of good storytelling going on this year. But, like, the two big... It's weird because, like, Nier Automata didn't... I cried at, like, one part, but it didn't really get me. I spent most of the time just going, oh god, I wish I was dead right now. And not so much crying, because, like, that sense of, like, growing despair was almost too... Like, it's almost like you can't cry, because if you do, you'll never go back to the game.
Yeah, you hit like full depression instead of
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
grief.
you just go numb.
And then you just kind of, like, crawl under your blankets. So, like, Nier Automata didn't make me cry until I got the ending E, which, since Othar is about to start playing these games, I won't go into too deep, but ending E sent me over the edge. Undertale got me in a few points, but I was actually too charmed by how good the pacifist ending was, and I ended up not crying too hard because I was too happy. So it's really, like, honest to God, it's a toss-up between Horizon Zero Dawn and Tales of Berseria. And if you've played any of Tales of Berseria, you know that it is, like, the clear and obvious winner, because the conclusion of Act 2 is the single most, like, emotionally wrenching thing I've experienced in a video game all year. And it happened all the way back in February.
Now, I agree that it was horribly wrenching, but I'm going to have to give my vote to Undertale because
Yeah.
I can't listen to Save the World without crying. I bought the soundtrack and it's on my phone. And whenever Save the World comes up, I just start crying.
I have it on vinyl because I bought it for Penny last year.
Oh, that's nice. That would be so good. Oh, I want that.
It is like I probably am going to like put my hand in for either Horizon Zero Dawn or Undertale because those ones really got me good. And also I haven't played Tales of Berseria and I'm very sorry.
Okay. It's okay. It's a niche
So,
title, so it's fine.
I got that.
Like, you know.
You say it's a niche title when Nier and Undertale are on this list too?
Undertale is hardly niche now. Shut your mouth. And Nier is on 20 Game of the Year lists. So
I know, but like think about
Battlefront 2.
Think about the way this year panned out, in which a mainstream JRPG is considered more niche than a fucking Nier title and an indie title.
I know. 2017 has been a weird goddamn year for video games, but Tales is the nichiest of the three. These days, Tales is the most niche of the 4 games that have been nominated. And I mean, I get why Undertale is y'all's pick, but for one, this is the Sara Award, so I get to determine who. Sarah Award. So I actually get to determine who wins this one. So all of you can eat my ass. And 2. I mean, I really, none of you were in the room when the end of Act 2 happened in Berserk. I mean, I was devastated for 2 days afterwards because of how much, emotion is in the end of Act 2 in Tales of Berseria. It is, it's just this huge culmination of feelings, and the voice acting is so relatable, and those feelings that you experience are incredibly human in a game about a bunch of demon people and invisible spirits and shit. Somehow Tales of Berseria ended up having the most incredible emotional note of the year for me, because just that whole bit where Laphicet is giving her this pep talk about how it's I don't care about what the rest of the world says, I love you, was the moment I was oh no. And even just thinking about it, I'm tearing up right now.
Yeah,
no. Oh my god, no.
You get those moments where it's they stick with you so much that even just thinking about them is oh no.
Oh,
and
no.
That's what I get for Undertale, in which it's the part where you are saving your friends from Azrael, and it's just thinking about what they say in that point, I'm just oh.
It's good. It's so good.
I've made this joke before, but not video game related, but that's the end of Speed Racer for me.
Oh my god, the end of Speed Racer is so good. I understand.
My god, I think about all of the wipes, showing all of the people cheering for him in their own way. It just gets me really
beautiful.
good.
It's beautiful.
As far as movies go, it's the scene in Lilo and Stitch where Stitch talks about his family, and he says it's little and broken, but still good.
Still good!
And I can just think about that and just start crying.
Bawling, yeah. But, since this is the award in my name, it has to go to Berseria.
I can't give a vote anyway, because I haven't played 2 of those games. So.
Yeah, you can't, so boo. I mean, Undertale is really good, but I honestly was more happy throughout all of Undertale than I was, crying. If we're just talking about raw, the raw outpouring of emotions, then... And I mean, I didn't even really go over, Horizon, but that's because I spent a lot of time in the Horizon podcast talking about it. Because the moments in Horizon hit really hard as well, and they are just... Because, the thing about the Horizon moments is that you don't expect it to hit you as hard as you do, and that's a really good sense of putting you in, Aloy's boots, where it's you've never met Sobek in your life, just like Aloy hasn't, and, logically in your head that, of course, it's been 1,000 years, of course she's dead, but hearing about how it happened was such a... you don't even know why it makes you so sad. Maybe it's just that it's a whole, it's a moment of realization, oh, that's right, this person that you've really spent, this whole game getting to know who they are is, dead, and you will never really get to know them because it's 1,000 years ago.
They do a really good job with their post-apocalyptic notes, and, this is a problem that a lot of open world games like Fallout for instance has this problem, or Skyrim for instance, where you get a lot of these post-apocalyptic logs and stuff, and sometimes they're even audio logs, but you still don't really feel a connection to the character they're tied to.
Right.
they're mostly just like a story that happened in that world.
Right.
But with Horizon, where you actually get to see the people's faces, you get to see them like their holographic projections, you get to hear conversations with them, and you really form much more of a connection that way, because there's so much. The Guerrilla just goes above and beyond with crafting this world and making sure you feel an emotional impact to it.
Yeah, you actually feel like emotionally connected to these characters who have existed so long ago now that you don't even have a chance of finding out anything else about them. Like, it's just impossible, you know? So, it's a sense of, like, they are well and truly dead. Like, they aren't just, like, characters who are dead in a video game. They feel like they really did just... It does kind of feel like they really did just die. And they're people you know. And it's just... I don't know. It was a very impactful moment for me.
Now, since we are talking about just, like, emotional impact in games, I wanted to bring this up because, like, playing the DLC and going back to Horizon, like, this game is, like, the more I think about it when I'm not playing it, the more it's, like, I don't think I've ever played a game like this where I feel so unsettled about the world.
Yeah.
And, like, just, like, the absolute devastation this planet went through and its rebirth and what was lost. I don't feel that about a lot of post-apocalyptic games like Fallout or Nier or even Zelda, where it's like they use their post-apocalypse as a background, as aesthetic tool, whereas Horizon really makes you feel how much was lost in this real world.
Yeah. And that's really, like, that's what's really incredible, is the sense and the understanding of how much is just, like, completely gone forever. Like, knowledge and art and places, and especially people. It's kind of like Sobek's death represents the death of the entire old world, and all of its knowledge and everything that made our world, like, so unique and incredible.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of one and the same after a certain point. You feel the same way about it that you do about Sobek, where it's like, oh god, this is this huge, rich life, this rich world that is forever outside of my reach. And it's really, I mean, yeah, they handle it very, very well. And so when she dies, it's like, it's not just the death of Sobek, but it is. But it's also the death of, like, your, like, the player character's connection to the old world, and now it's like, oh god, that's right, everything is basically over forever. And it's a big emotional moment. It's very impactful. And,
like, every character's death for this kind of thing, like, hearing Sobek's death, and, like, not only that, but also getting the notes about, like, the people who are, like, hunkered down in shelters and stuff, and, like, the process for that really just ties the finality together. It's not like the Vaults, where it's like, we're going to shuttle you underground and you'll live out in this civilization. It's, you know, this world is dead. There is no recovering. We will sterilize you, and you will die down here.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. But even then, Tales of Berseria wins it, because Tales of Berseria's final emotional moment, I mean, not just that, but I mean, like, the end of the game too is such, like, a catharsis and a restatement of the game's core emotional value, which is, like, the willingness, what you're willing to do for the sake of your own selfish happiness. And, like, that is such a good, unique theming in a game. It's incredible. And you know, especially because you got to know these characters so much, especially because Tales of Berseria has extremely strong character writing. So when there finally is that big breakdown moment and all of these characters come together, and then immediately after Velvet's moment, Magilu gets her moment against Maven, or no, not Maven. It's like, fuck you, and she, you know, she's been, like, emotionally closed off to everybody. And then she's like, no, but surprise, I actually really believe in these idiots. And that's, like, incredible. Because it's not done in a corny way. It's done still in, like, Maki Lu's overdone, stupid, theatrical way, but you can feel, thanks to really good voice acting and really good character writing, you can still feel, like, the strength of her conviction behind it. And it's just incredible. So yeah, Tales of Berseria rules, and everybody should play it.
I'm glad that we're talking about that instead of Horizon Zero Dawn, because I seriously did have just like
It's
a moment
beautiful,
right?
right? It's so
thinking about
beautiful.
it again.
It's so
Beautiful. Both of those games are just gorgeous, and just they're such good. And, like, that's not even going into... Because we'll get there in a second. That's not even going into, like, the storytelling chops of Nier, which is its own huge beast and was already one long podcast. But just...
Yeah.
It's such a good... This year has been so good for video game storytelling. Probably one of the best we've had in years.
Yes!
Just
That's...
for the strength of the stories being told, and finally understanding that you can tell unique stories in video games that can't be told in other mediums. Like, this is the year everybody got it.
Yes.
Almost at the same time. Like, 2017 was wild for that reason alone.
It has been a big year for really pushing, like, what you can do with video games, and, like, not only mechanically but also artistically, with presentation, with atmosphere, with storytelling. Like, this was a really fucking good year,
like, ever. Which, I mean, it's just shocking how good 2017 was for video games. But yeah, we've talked too long about this topic because there's a lot to say about the emotional resonance of certain moments in video games, so we need to keep going.
Yep. And we can talk more about this in the last category, but the next category we have is the biggest shit show. And the nominees for this one are Star Wars Battlefront 2, and it's just Battlefront. It's just Battlefront.
Battlefront is the only... I mean, there were other shit shows in video games this year, sure, but none of them topped Star Wars Battlefront 2's incredible shit show. It's about a sense of accomplishment, Ben.
And Battlefront 2 actually created more shitstorms in other games. Like, I'm sure, like, it's been talked about in other areas, but a bunch of mobile games from Bamco and from, like, fucking exploded, like, right after, like, Battlefront 2's, because everyone started talking about loot boxes, and then Bamco accidentally leaked a bunch of their games.
Yep.
Really broken as hell loot crate drops, and it was really bad. So, it definitely has to go to Battlefront 2, just because, like, the sheer scope of that
Destiny 2 just had
encompassed
to
a bunch of
change the
other games
mechanics
after
of the
it.
event because they were going to incorporate loot boxes, and then the Battlefront 2 shit show came onto Destiny 2, and now they're like, never mind, JK. We're not going to do that.
This is going to literally change the landscape of how games are sold.
Thank God.
This whole thing is... We got to the point where Facebook moms got involved.
Yeah.
Because they see posts where it's Star Wars is going to make your kids gamble. Mm-hmm. And we were able to put this in terms that they would understand and illustrate how bad it was, and Disney had to step in and slap EA in the face and go, "You motherfuckers, you're going to ruin our property."
Yeah, and then, I mean, think about it this way. No matter how hard you fuck up, you will never fuck up as hard as EA fucked up Battlefront 2. Because now, like, Belgium is saying that loot boxes are gambling and wants to have them regulated in the same way as gambling. There's, a lawmaker in Hawaii is trying to introduce the same bill in the United States Senate that would say the same thing. It's now, I mean, like, it's a level of fuck up that you can't even comprehend. Like,
it's
how did you screw up
astounding.
that badly?
I'm so glad that this was the breaking point. Like, I'm so glad we had someone available to do the math. And not only that it happened into one game, but the fact that it happened to Star Wars, I think really helps it. Because Star Wars, the name Star Wars puts a giant spotlight on it. And EA had a fucking sure bet that no matter what quality of the game they put out, they were going to sell gangbusters. It's Star Wars, it's Battlefront, Christmas is coming, everyone's going to want to buy this game. And then all this shit comes out.
Whoops.
It's
You
really
fucked it up.
It's really great to finally have EA in the reverse position of it, like pulling or dragging its properties out back to shoot it. Disney's about to do the same.
Yes, like
EA,
after
yeah, it's
you know,
beautiful.
after shutting down Visceral, after we got all these stories about Visceral getting shut down and the
Amy Hennig Star Wars game.
Yeah, the Amy Hennig Star Wars game getting canned, and they're like, yeah, can you... That's the most poetic justice ever, because, yeah, we had this game where it's like, hey, we're going to make this very unique Star Wars game that'll have no lightsabers, no Skywalkers, no Empire. It's going to be about the bounty hunters and smugglers, and about all these cool underground stuff. And EA went, no, fuck that. Where's the multiplayer? Where is the lightsabers? Where's Darth Vader? Where's Chewbacca?
Right.
And we're going to focus our attention on Star Wars Battlefront 2. Oh
no,
no!
You fucked
I just like to imagine Disney just kind of grabbing him by the ear.
What the fuck did you do?
They have to resurrect Walt Disney.
To just
They have to unfreeze him to go to the head of EA and just beat his ass.
They unfroze Walt Disney.
Mickey's coming for you.
Yeah. So yeah, fuck EA, fuck Star Wars Battlefront 2. And yeah.
I'm just like, I'm so happy that this is going to finally do it. Like, because you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. You know? This is EA and Disney Star Wars with the Battlefront license. Like, these... You cannot ignore the consequences of this. This happened to the most surefire bet of one of the biggest corporate sellout video game companies out there. And they finally faced consequences.
Thank God.
Like, do you think...
It's satisfying.
You think Blizzard's going to ignore this with Overwatch?
Yeah.
Probably.
No, I think there's going to be... That's not going to be a whole... revolution, but there will be some changes in their loot box calculations.
I mean,
for sure.
They had already legally dropped all of their drop rates in every country except for the North American territories. So I think that they're just going to ignore it because they're just like, yeah, we're
Blizzard.
Yeah, we're not. We're
gods.
already holding ourselves accountable. They have giant finger quotes over the last sentence I've just said.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's still not a perfect situation, but at least if things can get the ball rolling on at least posting drop rates and stuff and getting rid of making it easy for
this.
Younger people to buy and stuff, then it's a good step in the right direction. So
I think we're going to see this hopefully will cause the ripple effect of finally making it harder to purchase in-game assets, especially on mobile games, on gacha games. They really should remove the one button press to buy things, because that is a proven thing that causes a lot of problems with not only with small kids who just push the button and it gets charged to mom's credit card, but also to gambling addicts and all that involved with that. And
it's interesting. Usually I give Kotaku a lot of shit, but Heather Alexander at Kotaku is actually a pretty damn good writer. And she's just at Kotaku. Sorry. Maybe somebody else will give her a job at a better place, but most gaming journalists endeavors are garbage, so I guess you bloom where you're planted. And Heather Alexander did a really good piece about why gacha and loot box games are fucking evil over at Kotaku. and you should look it up and check it out because she's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's...
and fuck EA.
Oh my god, like, for real, like, it's good. I'm so glad that this happened in this year. In this year of stellar games coming out and great news for video games, this is just like, mwah.
I can't sing, but, I can't sing right now, but, it's Schadenfreude! Yeah. So,
yeah.
Battlefront 2. How did you fuck up such a surefire hit? Oh, wait. I mean, I know how, but still, it's incredible. So.
It's like it's like the thing you always wish would happen to companies like this, and it finally did.
Oh yeah, pretty much. It's just pure wish fulfillment to top off a pretty good year for video games. So yeah. So what's left? What's last?
The last category, and this is the biggest one. And speaking of EA, let's talk about the best game that somehow, for some reason, despite all odds, was good, even though it didn't have any microtransactions or online multiplayer whatsoever.
And the nominees are?
The nominees are Nier Automata, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, Cuphead, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, Wolfenstein the New Colossus, Sonic Mania, Yakuza 0, Night in the Woods, Yakuza Kiwami, Neo, Tales of Berseria, Prey, Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valentia, and many, 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 many more.
Because, maybe we haven't said this a few times already, I don't know. 2017 was really good for video games.
Holy fucking shit! 2017 was good for games that weren't multiplayer and didn't have any microtransactions in them.
They were just video games. This
is by far the absolute worst year ever EA could have made that statement.
I know, right?
Like, they made that statement and, like, the week after Nier Automata broke 1 million sales.
No, 2 million sales.
Like,
I know! This is a year, we can finally talk about it, because this is also kind of our de facto Game of the Year award. This is a year where a niche game directed by Yoko Taro that is the sequel to a not great video game with good storytelling that came out for the Xbox 360 like 5 years ago. That game outsold Battlefront 2 like 2-1 because Nier Automata has sold over 2 million copies and Battlefront has sold around 880,000.
That's insane.
Is that not the best news you've ever heard in your entire life? I mean, how can you not have at least a little spark of hope for the universe if Nier Automata can succeed that way? And it is just, and it's weird, and it plays funny sometimes, and sometimes it's strange, but it is a video game where it's about video games, it's about playing video games, it's a story told in a way that can only be told with video. Can you tell that Nier Automata is my game of the year?
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe.
Now, on that, what I wanted to kind of do with this, and you guys can go first, I wanted you, because it's impossible, I think, to pick one that will win this category, because fucking there are so many. So,
you're wrong.
Instead, what I want you to do is to tell me what your 3 of the year were.
Well, Othar, you are the guest, so
Alright, so
go first.
Cuphead's really high up there for me. It hits a lot of, like, very specific notes of things that I appreciate and enjoy. It's a really fun-ass, difficult game with kind of bare-bones story, and sometimes that's all you really need and appreciate in a game, is just something that does a lot, that does not really tell anything, it just shows you, and just wants you to appreciate everything it can give you.
Yeah, for sure. It's way more focused on mechanics and gameplay than it is on the story, and sometimes that's what you need in a video game.
I definitely going to put Yakuza 0 on there and not Yakuza Kiwami.
I knew it.
There's a lot of reasons for that, but mostly, I think out of all the Yakuza games I have ever played, this one has the best story out of it. It has an absolutely fantastic, fleshed out gameplay system, and most importantly, it has 2 really hot dudes you can play as. And
that is
I hope
important
everybody
in a
appreciates
game
my
like
Christmas
Yakuza.
present incredibly late, because everybody's getting a copy of Yakuza 0 at this point. It's fucking great, and I want everyone to appreciate it. So
it's a great game.
Yeah, it's fucking Yakuza 0. And then the third one, I guess I'm just gonna throw in probably Odyssey, because this has been a long time since I played a Mario game I actually enjoyed. It's been a long time since I played. Like, I didn't even like Sunshine that much, but I loved Odyssey. So I think that speaks to me, I guess, a little bit.
For sure. Sarah, you can go next.
I'm gonna go from 3 and down, so actually ranking these in order. So number 3 is Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods is a game that I actually didn't expect to resonate with me as emotionally as it did. Night in the Woods is another game that is, for one, just kind of in the same vein as Cuphead, where the visuals are what sells it, because Night in the Woods is just, you look at it, and like with Cuphead, you can barely believe that it's actually a video game sometimes, because it has such a nice art style and such rich colors, and you look at it and you're like, oh, these things move when I make buttons press. That's
so
incredible
beautiful.
to me. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful in its simplicity. You know, these characters are so flat looking, but it's the environment and stuff and everything about it. The art style is just so gorgeous. I love it.
It's familiar. It feels like a place you've been. It feels like home if you're me.
Yeah.
Night in the Woods feels like a place I've been before, because it's a place I live right now. Everything about Night in the Woods kind of boils down to that for me. It is somewhere I've been, both physically and emotionally, and tells a story about very big things, like the end of the world and whether or not God cares. And it's about the little things. It's about the people you meet and the places you go, and what home means, and what can save you right now versus how nothing can save you forever. Night in the Woods is tremendous, and they just added a whole new content pack that I need to go back and play, and if you already own the game, that new content is free.
Yay.
So, which is, again, just amazing.
Yay!
So yeah, Night in the Woods is number 3. Number 2 is Horizon Zero Dawn. For a lot of reasons that we've already discussed. It's a big world that feels like a real place, full of characters that feel like real people, with an incredible main character who is likable and kind of weird, and she's just fantastic. The game plays great, it looks great, it has one of the most unique settings I've ever seen in a video game in recent memory. And you can tell that a lot of thought has been put into it, because Ben and I had a conversation in private chat 2 nights ago where he went, well, why aren't there horses? And I was like, there's actually a good reason. And then we had this long conversation about it, and it was great. That's what Horizon is. Horizon is an entire world that's been completely realized from the ground up, partly to justify the fact that it's about fighting robotic dinosaurs, and that's fine, because those justifications are solid, and it's great. And it's like we've been saying, it's a game that I did not expect to be as emotionally resonant as it was. And it really did, at the end of the day, just kind of, I don't know, it has such a haunting story about the end of the world, and then the people who have to live in the aftermath of it, and it is genuinely great. And if it weren't for my game of the year, which is next, then Horizon would probably be my game of the year. But Nier Automata happened. And Nier Automata is not just the game of the year. Nier Automata might be the game of the decade for me.
Yeah, there's a lot you can say about Nier that we even didn't cover.
I honestly don't think I even scratched the surface when we talked about it on the podcast of why Nier is so special, but Wired did. Wired wrote a whole article about why Nier Automata is their game of the year, and ultimately it boils down to Nier Automata is a game that uses every single inch of itself to tell its story and get its themes across. And it's a game about repetition, it's a game about time loops, it's a game about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and going a little crazy when something does happen differently. It's about, like, grief and mourning and what people deserve and whether or not you deserve to be happy or not. It's about just all of these incredible things, and it's finally a Yoko Taro game that you can play, and it doesn't suck ass. And it's a game made out of love, and it shines through in every corner of it. It's a passion project that was rewarded because it sold 2 million copies when nobody expected that to happen at all. And for that reason, and many, many more, Nier Automata is my game of 2017, and I mean, if you come and ask me again in 10 years, I might tell you Nier Automata is still one of my favorites of all time. It is tremendous. It is such an achievement and an accomplishment, and
I can't say enough times, if you are a fan of video games, you deserve to play Nier Automata.
Even if you hate
and
it.
experience what this...
Yeah,
even if you don't like it, I still want you to play through it, because by the end of it, your opinion of the game itself might not change, but your opinion of what video games are will have changed. Yeah,
it's a game that's about the transformative nature of video games, and the fact that it's like one of those games that really, really gets it. That this is a story that can only ever be told one way. Like, I really like Night in the Woods, and I really like Horizon, but if you could turn... My rule is, if you can turn these stories into TV shows, then they're still good stories, but they're not good, they're not game stories. Nier Automata is a game that is a story that could not be told anywhere else. You couldn't make it into an anime, you couldn't make it into a TV series, you sure as hell couldn't make it into a movie. The other two, you maybe could, but not Nier. Nier stands on its own, and it is incredibly unique, and is just, it's haunting, and it's something that stays with you for a long time, and it asks a lot of very interesting questions and things that you have to answer for yourself as you play it, of what happiness is, and what being a person actually is, and what it means to be.
Right.
Which is funny, because obviously the main character's name is To Be.
Oh,
yeah, to be or
I
not
get it.
That is the question.
Yeah. Isn't that one of the endings anyway?
Yeah, it's to be or not. I mean, obviously, that's a whole plot thread. To be or not to be. Get it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's stuff like that all over the game, and all of the robots are named after philosophers, which is great, because there's Engels and Marx and Pascal, and there's Sartre, and the opera singer whose name I've suddenly forgotten, and Simone something. Shit, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm sick.
That's okay.
But yeah, Nier Automata is incredible, and everybody should try it. And please play Nier.
Okay.
Nier Tomato.
Yes. Yes, be near a tomato,
Yes.
please. So for me, my second and first choices are easy. It's the third one I'm having some more trouble with, and I'm constantly tossing up between Persona 5 and Horizon. And it's at this moment, on this day, at this time of the day, at this point, localized entirely within my kitchen. It is Horizon Zero Dawn. Like we talked about, you talked about the game is absolutely gorgeous, and it feels phenomenal to play. It is loaded with mechanics that are, but not overly done, and you are just given so much variety and choice to do, to go into your battles with. You are given these traps to use. Every enemy is unique and is so finely crafted. I got the art book for this game, and I'm flipping through the designs of all these creatures, and there's notes about why they were designed this way or why they were designed that way. The lore and how in-depth this game goes with building its world and why its world is built in this way is incredible. It is a phenomenal game, and it is proof that every game should have a photo mode if they're going to look this fucking good.
Yes, oh man. Please.
The only downsides I have for it is that, which they fix a lot of this in the Frozen Wilds. The cutscenes are stuck in their standard reverse shot for a lot of the dialogue stuff. And then the DLC proved that you can do that without constraining yourself into that, so games don't have an excuse anymore. And just, like, you know, it's not, like, I can't point to any specific flaws. It just didn't quite click for me as, like, the game of the year compared to the other choices I have, which were, my number 2 choice is Breath of the Wild, a game that I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Which, to me, that is my reason, like, is Breath of the Wild a good game? I will tell them I'm still playing Breath of the Wild. I have not departed. When I say I'm still playing, I don't mean like I dropped off at any point. I at no point since Breath of the Wild came out ever fully dropped off from it. I would play a little bit at least like once a week and just make progress somewhere. It is a game that is so packed to the brim with stuff to do, and yes, the collectibles aren't as in-depth as Horizon, but you can go to any hilltop in this game, look in any direction, and walk for a little bit, and you'll find something to do. It is a game that I think has fundamentally, without Horizon existing, has fundamentally changed the landscape of open world games like its kind. I am absolutely thrilled that they are going forward with this as the default formula. Because now we can break Zelda down into 3 categories. There's the top-down 2D games, there's the Ocarina of Time style 3D games, which incorporate everything from Ocarina to Twilight Princess to Wind Waker, and now we're moving on to the Breath of the Wild style, and I'm so excited to see what they do to expand on that for whatever project they're working on next for Zelda.
No, I mean, like, because it's the 2D top-downs meets the 3D everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the DLC was a lot of fun. I think there's still work to do. I would have preferred more dungeons, and more equipment, but I appreciate their approach of minimal mechanics, but infinite options, and just the scope of everything in this game is breathtaking. And yeah, I
it took you a second, didn't it, buddy?
It also has, I think, the best Link design ever, and that finally got confirmed when Link can now wear Toon Link's pajamas. So that is the one thing that pushed him over the edge. For me, because for the longest time, Toon Link in his pajamas was the best Link design for me ever. It was my absolute favorite. And then Breath of the Wild came really close, and then Breath of the Wild got the pajamas, and I was like, okay, well, that's it. It's pushed over.
The outfit you're wearing throughout most of the game, the Champion's Tunic, is obviously supposed to be, like, the fancy version of pajamas, right?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Like, when I first saw, I didn't quite click that it was the pajamas at first. When I saw it, I thought it was just, like, a casual wear of the Champion's Tunic.
Yeah.
And then I looked closer and saw the lobster, and I was like, oh my god! It's the best!
This is my casual informal outfit. I'm wearing pajamas. I'm Link. I can talk now.
I'm wearing my formal pajamas. See?
I also really hope that, like kind of like how Beetle and Epona got grandfathered into the resurrection cycle.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that at least some of the champions get grandfathered into the next game, and we see a new Revali, Urbosa, Daruk, and Mipha, because they were all great characters, and I love them all dearly.
Yeah, I feel that.
And Sidon. Sidon can come too.
Yay! Fish
I
boyfriend!
like them.
Yeah.
I bet you did. I can't think of anyone who didn't like Sidon.
You have to be dead inside to not like Sidon. Come on. He's so good. He's literally good, isn't he? He's pure.
He's pure-hearted and a good boyfriend.
A good boyfriend. A good fish boyfriend.
But my absolute game of the year, and this should come to no surprise if you've talked to me for like 5 minutes ever, I gotta give it to Super Mario Odyssey as my game of the year. This is a game that I've always said that like no game is perfect,
Right.
because every game has some kind of flaw in it. I think Mario Odyssey is the closest you'll ever get to a perfect platformer.
Super Mario Odyssey is
The
the Mary
controls-
Poppins of platformers.
Yes, practically perfect in every way. You have just enough basic mobility to get to anywhere you want to be without without having so many mechanics and gameplay abilities that you aren't using half of them. You have just enough to get you to wherever you want to go with whatever kind of variety you have. All the different methods of jumping you have, the side jump, the long jump, the hat bounce, the twirl, the ground pound jump are all phenomenal for getting you to where you need to be. The controls themselves, I've never felt a platformer that felt as tight as this with the response. It's perfect.
The waggle is actually kind of fun with it.
Yeah, the waggling is great. Even the just moving Mario around with the controller, with the joystick, feels so tight and responsive and perfect. There's no delay at all, which Horizon had some delay with it. It was a more realistic game, so they kind of had that delay of turning around. But Mario was a cartoon character, so he can freely turn and run without losing momentum at all.
He just kind of clips into himself and just runs the other direction.
Yeah, exactly. Ever since the 64 days it's been happening, and it's great. The capture mechanic is a delight. I was immediately enthralled with it when I saw it, and just the fact that all of these little things have their own moveset with them, and some of them go pretty in-depth, actually, with what you can do. And you are given so many options to manipulate around this world, and once you beat the story mode of this game, you're basically done with, like, a quarter of the actual game, which is going around and collecting all of the other moons. And yeah, some of the moons are just kind of out in the open and whatever, but so many of them are put with these unique little challenges and puzzles that you can just kind of stumble upon. You aren't even looking for it. You just kind of walk into it, and it's there, and you're rewarded for your curiosity in every conceivable way possible. Like, anything you think kind of looks unique, there's a chance you can find a prize in it.
It even rewards your curiosity vis-a-vis gameplay by learning that you can actually combo jumps together to reach new areas you never thought you could before. And you don't even necessarily have to do it that way. That's just like, you could do that as one option of many to reach a puzzle.
Yeah, not only that, you reach, like you said, you reach the puzzle. So you reach this area of the game that you didn't think you could reach unless you just kind of tried it on a whim. And then once you get to that area, there's usually something more for you to do, some new gameplay thing to try out to find a new reward for it. And every moon you get gives you this nice little chime. You get this nice vocal cue, this audio cue that you did good. You get the little count set up. It's incredible how in-depth this game goes, and how good it feels, and how bright and vibrant and populated this world is. People are going to be talking about New Donk City for years.
Right.
I could go on and on about how good Super Mario Odyssey makes me feel.
Yeah, of course, and that's like a huge part of it is like that's what makes Mario so interesting. And I'm actually kind of even interested in Odyssey. I've been watching the best friends play it. I've been watching Matt and Wooly play it, and yeah, it just has such a nice kind of I don't even know, pop.
Yeah.
Like the visual style pops so well, and everything is just
like
so,
you occasionally go, yeah, like
cohesive?
you go into worlds that are obviously like supposed to be different worlds, but there's no like weird, strange contrast with them in Mario. It all still kind of feels like within the realm of like the Mario world, I guess.
Yeah, because
even like New Donk City.
Yeah, New Donk City with its hyper-realistic people still feels like it's part of the Mario, like, realm. Like, the whole...
Yeah.
It feels like a Mario environment.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I totally get it. I get why. I mean, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, any number of these games, like, whatever you pick for your game of the year is like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks.
It's...
You know?
I just love, like, you know, with this and Breath of the Wild, like, Nintendo puts so much care and effort into making sure every single thing worked the way they wanted it to work.
That reminds me, like, tiny little details. One, about Odyssey. Holy shit, I loved the ending for it. I've never been, like, emotionally satisfied by, a Mario game so much as, like...
Oh
like,
my god, yes!
So, like, usually a Mario game, I'm just, like, I hit the credits and I feel really good about myself, because holy shit, I beat that game. This one actually made me, like...
Right.
This wasn't just like a final boss, it was a final boss and then like a series of like marathon rushes to like
yes!
build up to the ending and then the credits roll. It felt really good. I never actually like
it was
I don't know, there was just like there was actual emotional impact, which is weird because it's a Mario game.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, like, we talked a lot about how, like, you know, this is a good year for storytelling and stuff like that. And, yeah, like you said, this game had a very emotional ending. But I was kind of, like, taken aback at how, like, we talked about how with Horizon, like, all the little collectibles and stuff have so much lore attached to them. In Mario, there's not really a lot of lore.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of that. And I was actually kind of taken aback at how much I was like, well, you know what? I don't really necessarily need that for this game to really enjoy it, because... the reward is just accomplishing a fun puzzle.
Right.
But then at the same time, like, holy fuck, the ending of that game is an emotional rush that is just pure high-octane fun energy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that and like fun details about video games. I love there's this shit you can do in Yakuza 0 where you can go to restaurants. There's like I want to say like 18 in town, and they all have a completely different menu. And every time you go to one, you can order something different, and your character has something different to say about the meal. And that's fantastic. I love that sort of like...
That's...
that feeling of like, this is an actual place you can hang out in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that really kind of defines 2017, which is the little things that you would have never noticed if they weren't there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you played any other game where, like, you go to different restaurants and the character didn't say anything, you would never notice. You would never think that is a concern. But they did it. They went this extra step to put just little tiny details in that just make the entire experience better.
There's even a place where you can get a highball,
right.
and then there's another restaurant where you can get a highball, and it's the same one, but each one has a slightly different, like, flavor text for it, because you'll notice that, like, one of them has a little bit of extra, like, lime juice in it than the other place. And it's like,
oh my
it's
God.
just those little things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what 2017 boils down to, is a year of games that were made with, like, a lot of heart and love in them. Like, every one of our game of the year, our top 3 are all games that are, like, a ton of heart and soul has been put into these games.
Yeah. It feels like we're getting to this point where, like, games, like, with the Battlefront shit that happened alongside all of these games, and even games like, say, for instance, like Crash, or, like, the kind of, like, remakes or remasters that came out, like, you can still tell there was a lot of care put into stuff like that. And these games that came out this year that are, like, people are still talking about and they're still gushing about them, combined with the Battlefront shit, like, it feels like we're finally breaking out of that point of, like, we're not breaking out, but, like, getting into the point where games are being taken more seriously as an art form, and there's more care and effort being put into them.
It feels less like there's an
than
industry.
we've maybe seen in the past.
Yeah.
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 Especially with how, quote, like, I'm going to say this with, and clarify, but, like, how easy it is to make games now, and by that I mean, like, there's software that's coming out for a lot of different games that allowing indie developers with no real programming experience to put their vision out the way they want to put it out without necessarily needing to be mathematically or technically savvy.
Yeah, I mean, like, Unreal 4 is the
and
most,
I think we're
beginner friendly, like, 3D game development engine we've had in a while. And there's, just little indie games are being made on fucking Unreal. What Remains of Edith Finch is just a walking sim. But it and a bunch of other games that have been getting a lot of buzz this year just because of the strength of, like, their storytelling. They were all made on Unreal 4, so you can make professional quality looking games with, like, 3 people now.
Yeah.
Which is just amazing. It's an incredible democratization of, like, the medium, and that's when everybody can kind of partake in an art medium, like, back when reading, like, when, like, mass literacy became a thing, like, it was, like, that's when, like, a medium could really explode. When normal people can start doing things like painting and writing books and things like that, that's what really changes a medium. And so we're starting to get that now with video games, where more and more people, even if you don't know a fucking thing about coding and stuff like that, you can still make a functional, good video game and get people to talk about it and get people to appreciate it. And that's what makes the coming years of video games. So even if AAA video games shit the bed, and they may not, who knows? It doesn't matter, because the indie game scene will only keep getting better,
We're
it's great.
Like, Nintendo just put out that recent, like, statement where they're, like, talking about how they want to hire, they're aiming for younger people with wildly different backgrounds to hire for their companies, even people who don't play a lot of video games or don't have any experience with coding or scripting, because the industry is becoming more open, and we're getting a lot more people who do not come from the gaming lifestyle, from the computer science lifestyle, who want to put their story out in a new medium, and it's becoming easier for them to do so, and that's great, because that's how art develops. That's how you get games that have so much love put into them, like all the games we talked about today.
Yeah, it's amazing. So no matter what happens, like, video games can really only get better. And lately, I mean, like, this year has been amazing. I mean, 2017 has been one of the best years for video games in a long time.
I feel like games had to be good this year to make up for everything else that happened this year,
Yeah.
At least
this year sucked. At least video games.
Man, you know what? I'm going to make my title card for this episode. It's going to be the scene from Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff, where he's like, the economy in ruins. Pfft, I'm just going to play video games.
That's a good one.
That's perfect. That's it. Yeah, that's what it is. 2017 sucked, but at least we had video games to help us get through.
At least Persona came out.
They were so good,
man. And it's like, Persona wasn't even the high. I mean, in, like, any other year, Persona 5 would be, like, the highlight of the year.
To put into perspective, like, what kind of, like, year we had, if this wasn't, if say Zelda or Persona came out in 2016, they would have won every single Game of the Year award. And
nope, it was a bunch of other things. Persona wasn't even in my top.
Yeah.
It's like maybe my top. It's like, it might be in my top 5, but it's like number 5 of my top 5.
We're in a year where people can look at a brand new Mario and a brand new Zelda and go, I don't know if they're the best that came out.
That's how good 2017 was for video games. So You could realistically only play games that came out this year and be set for the next like 3 years.
Probably.
Of video
Oh,
games
for sure.
And have nothing but quality video games.
Just remember,
amazing.
don't ever pick up Andromeda.
Yeah.
Never play Andromeda. Only villains play Andromeda.
Like, it's
So,
it's kind of funny. Like, every single choice EA made was a bad one this year.
It was real bad. I loved it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like the end of
just random.
the end of the kids movie where like the evil businessman has been defeated and the park is saved, and like then the manure truck backs up into his convertible. You know, as like while everyone's cheering, that happens too. That's what happened to EA.
Oh, it's perfect. It's great. It's great. And we got a bunch of good video games, and EA failed. You really couldn't ask for a more Hollywood video game year. So, that's what it is.
All right, so
video games rule, guys.
they do. I love video games.
2017 was a good year for me to like video games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, so I think that'll do it for us then.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
for this
Othar.
year's first annual Gorgies.
Yes, the Gorgies.
Is that what we're gonna call it now?
The Gorgie! Just the Gorgie! Like,
Oh! I see what you did there.
it's a sex joke! Finger guns! I'm making a sex joke. Anyways,
I was going to say,
I'll stop.
if you want more bad sex jokes, you can follow us on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. Othar, Sarah's sick, so you tell us about your other podcast.
So we are also Sarah and I are also part of a LGBTQ live play RPG podcast called Big Gay Nerds. You can find us at Big Gay Nerds at Twitter, and we have a Patreon, and we have SoundCloud to watch. There's an iTunes, and then I think we have a coffee, right? We just opened one up.
Yeah, we have a coffee, and we have a Patreon if you want to hit us up there. And you can find our episodes on iTunes and SoundCloud. And we are on Twitter if you want to tweet at us. So yeah,
we
thanks.
rule. Please
Cool.
appreciate us.
All right. Yes, they are really good. I love them.
Thanks,
They're great.
guys.
Just you wait. We're gonna do Monster.
So-
we're gonna do Monster Hearts 2, and everyone will really like us.
Yeah!
Oh my God,
More
we're
Monster
blowing everybody's
Hearts.
minds.
Okay,
So is that it?
I think that'll be it. So this one's easy. Fuck EA.
Yeah.
Fuck EA.
Fuck
Fuck
yeah.
EA.
Fuck
and
EA.
Happy
Happy New
2018.
Year.
Yeah! Happy 2018, everyone.
everybody,
Good
and
night.
Enjoy your video games. Good night.
Good night, everyone.